Page 86, Minuet in G. We're getting a lot of minuets, and the idea is they're different composers. All right, they're all from basically the same time period, close. I mean, it's about the 1700s around in there. That's when they were really big. But they're different composers. You can see how different composer would approach them, so you can compare the different minuets to see what's similar and what's different. For instance, they're all in 3/4 time. Duh. That's minuet. And they all have the same kind of atmosphere about them. You have to kind of imagine back in the 1700s with the kings and queens and duchess and dukes and all that, all in this big palace and this big ballroom, all dancing this fancy dance, all choreographed. Everybody's making similar moves at the same time. It's right. It's the way it was done. Well, a minuet, this kind of music. So as you play it, that's what the atmosphere is sort of like. With all that said, let's talk about the mechanics of this thing. I want to talk about the right hand. We got a lot of repeated notes, and I want to change the fingering to give you some practice at using different fingers on repeated notes. Minuets are not fast, right? So we have a chance to practice this fingering style. At the beginning, they're showing a 1-3. I'm going to suggest totally different. I'm going to go with a 2-5. And you think, well, now we're way out of position. What are you doing? Well, because of those repeated G's, we're going to go 5-4-3-2. And it's going to put us right back in position. Ta-da! For the two measures later on the A's, I'm going to do a 4-3-2-3. 4. Just so I'm using different fingers on each one. The next line, first measure, on the two D's, I'm going to do a 5, 3, and then the next measure, a 2. So those first two measures of the second line is that. And then you use the fingering they show for the thirds. See, I call them thirds because they're notes, they're a third apart. Okay. Here, here, here. And the last measure is a 1-4, 2-3. We finger it that way so we can connect the notes. Next line, with the repeated D's, I'm going to do a 5-3-4-5. And that's C's, 4-3-4-5. Last line, with those two D's, it's a 5-3-2, just like two lines above, same fingering. And at the end, put a 1 on the A, crossover for the G. It's kind of fun. Your fingers are sort of dancing on the piano. Left hand, pretty much just do it the way they're shown. I would like to point out a little fingering thing they've done, so I don't have to change it, but there's a reason for it, and I'd like you to understand the reason. In the left hand, the first line, you have a 5, 1, that's an octave. Then you cross over with the second finger, with the thumb, and then the third finger. Now the next one, passage, is the same thing except on different notes. So we start out with a 5 and then an octave, but here we're crossing over with third finger, not second. And the reason for that, and that's what I'm after, is because of the black note. We don't want to put a thumb on a black note if we don't have to. And by using third finger, we can use second finger on the black note. If I cross over with second finger, I got to put a thumb on the black note. I don't want to do that. And that's why they've done this fingering this way. I like that very much. I encourage you to think about these kinds of fingerings as you're looking at music, trying to figure out. So next line, same thing. That's fine. That's about it for the left hand. Just do the phrasing like they're telling you to. I don't agree with the phrasing they're telling you, but we're not going to go in and re-edit the whole thing. Dynamic-wise, you do the dynamics. Not a lot going on there. You have a crescendo at the bottom where you're going from a medium soft all the way up to a loud. but you got a couple measures to do it. Just make sure you don't get loud until the last measure. So save it. Melody's in the right hand, bring out the melody. Now, be accurate in the left hand. We want to hear a quarter rest, a whole quarter rest. So make sure you raise the left hand up on the last beat of those measures where you got rests in there. Take a look at the first line there. You see in the middle of the line where the left hand has a quarter rest? With that measure, when the right hand plays that B, left hand comes up. Be accurate. In the last measure of the first line, when the right hand plays the C, left hand comes up. So you need to be accurate with when you lift the left hand up for those rests. Don't get sloppy. 3/4 time with a pickup. I'll give us 2 counts. Let's try it out. Here we go. Hands. Okay. No pedal. 1, 2, 3. Ready, go.